is a treat to do this with you. And actually for everyone and anyone who shows up. And Moon. Seriously? Okay, well then this is going to be a significant reading for you, Linda. I wonder who else is going to show up. So it's just a few of us hanging out. So if anyone's out there, if you've, I see that there's a few people out there. So if you've never been here before, you've never done anything like this before, please introduce yourselves. We're good people here, and we do fun things. Okay. So right now, this show, in case you're just completely here out of the blue, this is going to be an October tarot / astrodoodle report for the sun signs, moon signs, rising signs. This one is going to be the last one in the show, and it's all about Gemini. Yay, boo. Natal Venus in Gemini. Steve, you know a lot about yourself. You're very lucky. Hold on, let me just check in with you guys. Know thyself. Know thyself. Steve, obviously you work on it pretty hard. Really, really tough. I got the other links that you sent me. That second link I didn't understand. I've heard of Yes. Okay, I think I know exactly who you're talking about. They were called a progressive band in the 1970s, okay? And they're famous for their ingenuity and imagination with music. I didn't get the lyrics, though. I didn't quite understand it. But thank you, okay? Hey, Queen of Water. Hello, Love Triber. Hello, Linda, of course, yes. All right, so let's go to the stage. Thank you for being here. At least somebody's getting their notifications. All right, here we go. Let's have a look. So we've done this before. I'm going to come back to this in a moment, but first we have to introduce the Gemini. So I'm not going to deny the Gemini, the rattle and the shake and the hum, okay? This is it. This is the only remaining sign to do. And so on its own little lonely self, there is the magic post-it note for Gemini. There it is. Right there. All right. Lonely, I'm Mr. Lonely. Oh, Steve, don't worry. You've got us. You got Linda. You got Love Triber. You got Queen of Water. Queen of Water's out there. Queen of Water's in Australia, if I recall. I'm glad you got the blue signs there. It says Queen of Water. That means you're a moderator. So if we have any trouble, you know what to do. Right now, I don't see any signs of Terra Lumination security or Terra Lumination backup security. So we're on our own, people. We're highly vulnerable. So this is it. I'm going to shake it all up. I am not going to deny you your own event, Gemini. Can you hear that? It's just one little post-it note. Inside the magic box, no tricks, no magnets, no mirrors, nothing, no strings, okay? Here we go. This is it. And I wonder who it's going to be. Oh, let's have a look, people. Let's have a look. Oh, this is really scrunched up. No wonder Gemini was the last one in the reading. This post-it note is seriously scrunched up. The glue on the glue. There it is. Okay, here it is. Well done, Gemini. We made it. We finally made it. Last but not least. Not at all, Gemini. Thank you very much. Lucky for you, Gemini, October can be kind of a sweet period because of the Libra Aries axis is quite harmonious for you, and you'll see what we talk about in a moment. There we go. So it's bye-bye to the Gemini Magic Post-it Note. You've done your job. Thank you very much. It's going into Post-it Note heaven right now. Bye. Bye. And now Gemini gets promoted to the front of the stage, into the limelight here. So it's all about Gemini right now. So if you have to do the cross-watching, sun, moon, and rising, and all that, but basically we're just going to focus on the Gemini sun here. It is now evening over here. Pacific Standard Time. Thank you very much. Cheers. Yes, Steve. Yes, exactly. It's true because I'm sure there's a lot of other channels that deal with the same thing. It's a very solitary thing the way I do this show here. Even even with my loved one and so on, it's still a very solitary thing. Every channel is different, but ever since who was it? Was it I think it was Path Traveler and Love Triber who was suggesting, why don't we just do this thing live? Pretty much everything I do now is live anyway, so you know, why not? You know, it is much more fun because I get to hang out with you guys. Okay, so let's check in again. I think we already did the check-in, but it's like this is the last report now, so I won't be able to do anything till next month. So I want to make the most of it. Actually, we'll be here again on Sunday night, so don't worry, okay? And of course, you know, this is the main theme. This is it, the main theme. The whole idea of this channel, frankly. Because it's really hard for some people. Some people are experts at love thyself. For those of us who are not experts at love thyself, you can tap into the Tarot Lumination channel, and this will help you. All right, here we go. Let's do this. Steve, you're not a distraction. By this time anyway, I'm going to start focusing on the reading anyway, so I won't have a chance to see too much of the chat. So don't worry. I'm going to depend on Queen of Water to make sure we don't have any trouble. Okay? Thank you, Steve. Here we go. Not that you're trouble, Steve. It's just that, you know, I need to concentrate on the reading itself. Ah, delicious. So we're going to split it up. We're going to do a miniature crucible spread for all the Geminis on the understanding that there's you, Gemini, a significant other, and then a third party, and it's called the relationship itself. It's a third entity. It's a living, breathing thing. I like to think of the shape of it as a crucible, and a crucible is a structure in which we conduct our relationships, okay? Our chosen relationships in particular, where we intimate and we separate as consciously as we can. Sometimes it's a tragedy, sometimes it's a mess, sometimes it's chaos, sometimes it's wonder, sometimes love breeds love, sometimes it's very unbalanced, sometimes there's a breakup and a separation. Sometimes it's complete, utter union. Who knows? It's all happening all at once. Let's have a look. We'll start with this. You'll see what I mean in a moment. Actually, no, excuse me. We're going to do the astrodoodles first. Sorry about that. I forgot. Now, let's just do the basics. I'm just going to focus on the yellow stuff here. These are the highlights. All these other notes are for people when they get personal readings and so on. Okay? So here we go. At the very, very tippy beginning of the month, we're coming out of September with a very strong Libra new moon because there's a lot of planets piled up in Libra. So that's like having a lot of spotlights shining on the Libra section of your chart, Geminis. Okay? And you will see what that talks about in a little bit. Okay? Next, we come to the full moon in Aries. That's in the middle of the month. Again, this is really harmonious for you, just like this one. So we're going to make full advantage of this. We're really going to squeeze out the juice of the good stuff for this, all right? Despite these red hallmarks of warning, 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 don't worry about it, okay? I mean, pay attention, but let's not focus on things that if we don't have to too much. Over here towards the end of the month is a completely different energy for you, Scorpios. When the sun enters, Geminis, when the sun enters Scorpio, and then when you get the new moon in Scorpio. So I'll show you that when we get there, all right? This is just basic raw data. You could get this from NASA, okay? Or like the Hubble telescope, or you know your local ephemeris or whatever. So we're going to pull out the Gemini chart right now. It comes after Taurus over here. Excuse me. But before, there it is. Okay, now we got you. Excuse me. Sorry, I'm messing this all up. There we go. That's what I need. So we're going to put you front and center. Don't be scared. It looks like it's kind of all mixed up, and it is kind of mixed up. Because it's kind of a strange month for you towards the end of the month, all right? And so, well, hey, Steve. Yeah, actually, let's create a bumper sticker, please. Thank you very much. It's a very clear, very powerful statement. Thank you, Stephen. Much appreciated. Over here, we're going to put Gemini on the horizon over here. So this is going to identify this chart as the Gemini chart for October. And if you want to, you can reinterpret it for the Gemini rising or the Gemini moon. But I personally wouldn't bother with all the Venus, Mars, and all those things, and Mercury and the personal planets. It's too complicated, okay? So I'm going to focus on the new moon, the full moon, and then the new moon again, okay? So here we are. This is the Gemini energy. And starting off at the very, very beginning of the month over here, you've got the Libra new moon in your 5th house. How sweet, how fun is that? That represents creative self-expression, okay? The joy, the fun, the light, like the little kid, Gemini, the little kid that's you. The fun aspects of you, wanting to be happy, doing like outrageous, creative, fun, self-expressive things. Sometimes it's risky. Sometimes you're doing things that involve risk. This is the house of enterprise and the house of taking risks and doing business, doing what you love to do, and then loving what you do, okay? Do what you love and love what you do. So there's a very strong, very super supportive energy over here, because guess what? The Libra energy is very harmonious with the Gemini energy, okay? So you have a new chance here for new starts and new beginnings. It's a lot of energy all piled up here. So I'm hoping you take full advantage of that. We're not going to really know how it means or what it means until we get into the month itself and it rolls on. It'll have much more clarity and understanding when you get to the full moon in Aries. In other words, you might discover that there's a lot of impediments inside of you to having fun, to being happy, to being romantic, to being loving and being loved in a very, very rich, delicious kind of experience. And you're going to find that out, like you might discover that, like in the world of your people, your tribe, your companions, your place in humanity, your like the clubs where you hang out, like your sense of tribe, okay? So 2 weeks later, let's just say you have a really good start to the month, okay? And you tune into all this great stuff and you really sense it. Wow, this is a great opportunity for me to really up my game, doing things that are more adventurous, more fun, more exciting, more romantic, more satisfying, okay? Just like a little kid who has been let off the leash and the parents say, you know what, kid, just go for it. Have a really good time. We're watching out for you. If you slip up or fall, don't worry. We've got your back, okay? Everybody has invisible friends, guides, guardian angels, and protectors. So take full advantage of that, okay, Gemini? 2 weeks later, we're going to come over here to the full moon in Aries, and this is where you're going to like have an awareness of like everything that's working and not working. In other words, imagine yourself as a kid in a playground, and those are your people, those are your buddies, okay? And you don't even care about ego or anything more. You're just all mushing around like kids do in a playground. Seeing people get angry, some people get sad, some people are pranking each other, some people are observers, some people are leaders and participants. Either way, it's all in that community area. And over here, it's my feeling it's just like you're going to discover like your own role in a kind of a leadership way. You're going to get a very, very clear understanding of like of the pecking order. The pecking order in your sense of community, your sense of other people, where you are respected and observed and valued and appreciated in the community, and you get to see what it's like, okay, and feel what it's like. And also anything that's not working, you're going to see what it's like. In other words, if you end up being discovered and outed for being like a megalomaniac, then everyone else in the community could diss you and say, hey, you can't do that, you're messing the fun up for everybody else. And then Gemini says, oh, okay, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to do that. Let's go back to having fun. So please be aware, towards the middle of the month, this is going to be the strong energy of the mirror for you in your community, and how your activities, your own imagination, your own vibrant creative self is having an impact in your community. And just be aware of the feedback, okay, and what comes to you. Because underneath it all, towards the end of the month, let's say you figure it out. Ah, now I know what Terra Lumination is talking about. So you get to do the upgrades. You get to do your upgrades and restarts in your own creative self-expression, which is very fun for you, Gemini, because you're very expressive. One of the things that Gemini loves to do is express. Like, if Gemini is restricted from self-expression, it's like being suffocated. It's awful. Okay, so hopefully you're going to discover anything and everything that leads to self-suffocation and suffocation by others, and learning how to deal with that. Okay, so there's a lot of diplomacy that's going on here because of the Libra energy. It means learning how to be very diplomatic in your community with your people. Okay, because towards the end of the month we're going to get this really strong polarity over here across your 12th house and 6th house, and I put a big orange smear all across here because this could be quite uncomfortable for you. Now Uranus is in Taurus over here in your 12th house, so there's going to be radical moments, highly unpredictable episodes where you're going to get like shock and awe awareness moments about how you screw up, how you accidentally end up self-sabotaging, or how you end up being a victim, or how you end up being sequestered or rejected from humanity or the community. And that's very, very painful for Geminis. You don't want that. And so when you get to the new moon, really right at the end of October, my feeling is that you're going to be a lot wiser. You're going to be a lot more wise by the end of the month. And you're going to realize, oh my gosh, now I really have to work on my self-care practices, my own, like this is going deep into the inside of the self of Gemini, figuring out that, oh, as delicious and fun as it can be for the Libra season for Geminis, there is going to be a lot to learn anyway, okay? You know what happens, like just imagine the kid in the playground. A lot to learn. You go out there with full energy, full light, and full support and everything. And sometimes when you're totally lit up, you feel like everything is amazing. And sometimes you don't know when you're stomping on other people. Sometimes you don't know if you've, let's say, been less than diplomatic. But eventually you will get the ricochet and the boomerang effects from people in which, like, you might have been like over exuberant, and then that's a very, very important message for you, Gemini. And then you have to figure out, oh wow, I have to temper myself, even though I've got so much support here to be the most fun active Gemini ever. There's a limit to how far you can go. In other words, you still have to discover the energy of diplomacy. Okay, and so with the Scorpio new moon over here, my feeling is that by the end of the month you're going to have a glimpse of what you're going to have to do to really seriously clean up, clarify, cleanse, refine, and purify your day-to-day habits in terms of how you conduct yourself in this world through your habits. The time that you get up in the morning, your self-care, your self-healing habits, your day-to-day activities, all the things that you do in day-to-day life that would constitute just a bunch of chores and activities and habits, especially regarding your health, because your health is very much, has a huge influence on how other people relate to you. In other words, if you don't take care of yourself properly, if you don't do the self-maintenance and the self-care that you really need to do, that's ruled by your 6th house Scorpio energy over here, then you become less than optimal, which means you become less and less valuable and less appreciated in your community, and less fun to hang out with. So it really, really behooves the Gemini folks to take full advantage of the October season and have as much fun as possible and get out there as much as possible, and then just be very conscientious and aware of anything that doesn't work, and realize that you need to know about this stuff. Like if somebody nudges you and says, "Hey Gemini, you're not supposed to do that. You messed me up. You stole all my marbles. You cheated on your video game. That's not fair." Okay, And then suddenly the Gemini is like, well, wait a minute, I was just having fun. And then you realize, oh, wow, I really did screw up. I really did hurt somebody. And of course, the same thing can happen as well. You could end up being hurt by someone else, and then you have to speak up. Okay? So I think it's really, really important by the end of the month. You're going to take full advantage of the sweet stuff, but towards the end of the month, you're going to realize, wow, I do have work to do. I still have work to do, and I'm going to take that as like these are lessons that are really worth learning, and I'm going to dedicate time